Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, today we're going straight to the heart of a really interesting news story that you brought to us. Our mission really is to take one very, very specific piece of information from the sources you sent over and just, unpack it a bit. We're zooming right in on Rachel Reeves' tears during Prime Minister's questions, PMQs, that really intense weekly session. Now, a politician showing emotion, that can always make headlines, sure. But here's where it gets, particularly interesting for our purposes. It's the specific claim made by Rachel Reeves' uncle. According to our source, he points the finger directly, squarely at Keir Starmer for her crying. Yeah, that's right. We're pulling this directly from an article in the Daily Mail. The headline reads, Reeves' PMQs tears, uncle blames Starmer. It's a pretty striking headline. And that's going to be our sole focus for this deep dive. Just that claim from that source.
Exactly. And what's fascinating, I think, is how such a specific connection gets reported. That's what we're going to look at. We'll be, meticulously looking at the details in that specific Daily Mail piece, trying to understand what was reported about the claim and, crucially, how it's presented.
Okay, right. So let's dive straight into that Daily Mail article then. When you look at how it actually presents the uncle's accusation, what jumps out at you first about how that blame is laid out? Is it like a direct quote, or is it more the paper's take on it?
Well, that's a great starting point. The article, as it's reported anyway, really emphasizes a direct accusation. It names the uncle and then explicitly links his statement to Starmer. It doesn't really present it as, say, a nuanced interpretation or speculation. It's framed much more like a declarative statement from a family member. And that gives the claim this very personal, almost undeniable quality within the story they're telling. It uses the authority of a relative, suggesting an insider view,
Right. An insider view. And that's crucial, isn't it? The article ties her tears specifically to Starmer, not just, the general pressure cooker of PMQs, which it obviously is, or maybe even the topic being discussed. It pins it on him. What's the likely aim of framing it like that for the reader?
I think it's probably about narrative control, really, within the context of that article. By attributing the cause solely to Starmer, the piece frames the event as a direct result of his actions, perhaps his leadership style, something specific he did, rather than, as you say, a more diffuse emotional reaction to just being in that high-stakes political environment. This sort of narrow focus can really simplify the story for the reader. It creates a very clear cause and effect that might resonate emotionally. It's just a strong, clean line drawn between the tears and one particular political figure.
And talking about specific figures, the uncle, why do you think the Daily Mail would choose to emphasize a family member's perspective like this instead of, say, quoting a political analyst or even another MP? What's the strategic thinking there, potentially?
Well, that's quite a classic move in certain kinds of journalism, isn't it? A family member's quote, or alleged quote, lends a very human, relatable, and often more emotionally charged touch to a political story. It makes it feel less like abstract politics or policy debate and more like, a personal drama unfolding. Political analysts might give you a more detached strategic viewpoint, maybe weigh different factors, but an uncle's reported statement, that immediately plays on personal sympathies. It implies a deeper, more intimate understanding of the person involved. It effectively shifts the focus, doesn't it? From the political stage to the supposed personal impact. And by extension, the alleged actions of someone within her own party causing it.
So it's really not just what is being said, but very much who is reported as saying it, and then how the newspaper uses that particular voice to sort of shape the overall message for the reader.
Yeah, it really makes you consider the power of just a single reported statement attributed to a specific type of source. Absolutely. The article's impact isn't just in reporting the tears themselves, but in providing this immediate, very personal explanation for them, allegedly, of course, from someone close to Reeves. And that narrative choice, it can be incredibly effective because it tends to bypass broader political context or analysis and goes straight for an emotional connection, suggesting internal party issues or leadership failings maybe, but through this very personal, familial lens.
Okay, so as we start to wrap up this particular deep dive, then we've really focused in, haven't we, on that very precise claim. Rachel Reeves' tears during PMQs and her uncle's reported accusation as specifically stated in that Daily Mail article, placing the blame directly onto Keir Starmer. But as you think about this, just consider the sheer specificity of the information we just picked apart. It's not a general commentary on emotion in Parliament or anything like that. It's a real pinpoint claim. Linking one specific emotional reaction to one named individual, attributed to a family source, as reported in one particular newspaper. Very specific layers there.
Indeed. And what's really interesting here, I think, is looking at how such a very, very specific claim is presented and how it might be understood, taken directly from its original source. Which leads to an important question, perhaps, for you to consider. What can we actually discern from a precise claim like this one? It's really about understanding this direct connection the uncle is stated to have made between the tears and the blame on Keir Starmer, specifically as it was reported in that article. Just think about that tight focus on that explicit link and maybe what it signifies when a news story hinges on such a singularly attributed cause like that.